So now we'll be designing another important framework, which is page factories. So page factories is another extension to page object model. The framework, the base approach remains same, like what we have designed so far in page object model, right? So just that when we were finding elements on a page, we were doing driver dot find elements, right? Rather doing driver dot find elements, now we will be dependent on some annotations like at the rate find by, at the rate find bys, at the rate find all, right? So now these annotations will actually gonna help us in locating elements on the page. And then there are a couple other things related to weight strategies that we're gonna see how we're gonna implement in this framework. This is another a widely used framework in the industry, right? And it's very interesting as well, right? So let's start designing it and see how it works. We'll first start with a very basic program, and in order to understand how the page factory they actually works. So let's start creating the basic architecture. If I talk about the architecture, it actually remains the same, whatever that we have seen in page object model, right? So I'll be creating a new Maven project and create a simple project com.w2a page object with factories, right? So whatever jars that we have used in page object model, I'll first want to sync all those dependencies. So dependencies that is required for test-ng, extend report, Selenium, Java Mail, Log4j, Apache POI for reading, writing Excel, right? So all these dependencies, I'll be taking it from here, and then we're gonna paste it to our page factories, right? So in order to work on this framework, I would want that you should have already gone through the page object model basics, right? Although this is another basic framework that we are designing right now, and in our upcoming project we're gonna see a combination of all these on a very high level framework, right? This is just a basic approach that we are starting in this project. In the next project we'll be adding more high level components to this framework, right? So first, let's design the base architecture. So in the main packages, what we're gonna have some base package com.w2a.base. You remember where we have defined the base classes over here, like the page class, right? Same thing, we're gonna do it over here as well, right? Then a couple other packages like for listeners, we have created a package. Listener will remain as it is. There is no change in the listener functionality. It will remain as it is. So I'll just gonna add a package for listeners, right? Then we have a couple of packages for pages. So I'm gonna name packages com.w2a.pages, right? And we're going to have a package where we'll be maintaining our utilities com.w2a.utilities, right? Same way in the resources, we're going to have all different resources where we need to store the Excel file, the XML file, executable file. So in the resources, I'm going to add some resources where we'll be maintaining our Excel files. So call it as test data, right? Whatever that we have done it in this, we'll gonna use the same stuff. So I can just copy these things from here and paste it over here, right? So all the resources remain as it is, no change in the resources. right? We have named it as Axel, so I'm gonna delete the test data one, right? So then, what all we have in the architecture? See, our basic architecture remains as it is in any framework that you work on, right? In your test, you'll be adding your test cases. So I'm gonna add one package for com.w2a.test cases, right? And one package I can add for rough work as well, com.w2a.rough, right? Then in the runner, we're gonna have test.ng XML file. So all the basic reporting listeners will be done from test.ng, right? I'll just delete this, right? Page object model with page factories, right? And all the common utilities that we have seen for Excel, extend report, monitoring mail, data providers, everything will remain as it is, as we have seen in our initial frameworks like data driven and page object model, right? So here we have some errors. This is because a base page class has to be extended. I'll just remove this utility for the time being. We'll be adding it later on, right? So this we'll be adding some utilities, right? So before we start further designing the architecture, first let us understand how the page factory actually works, right? So if we talk about the basic approach of page object model, what we have done that we have created separate pages over here, and then based on these pages we have taken out our test cases, right? So in test cases, we don't have any business logic defined. Business logic are defined only inside the pages. So same approach is done with page factories as well, right? So we'll be creating different pages, and this time I'm gonna divide these pages into like some packages, like in one package where we'll be adding some actions, and in one package will be keeping our locators, right? So this time I'll be taking out locators from our actions as in the business pages. You remember in page object model we have stored our locators inside the properties files, right? Like this time when you're working on page factories, they don't allow you to store the locators like this, like in properties file, right? You're gonna face some issues. These locators has to be static, and these has to be read from some Java utility itself, like a Java file itself. I'll show you what sort of issues we're gonna face when we convert our existing project into page factories, right? So let's first create a basic test to see how page factories they work. So I'll go inside action. Let's say I'm automating a website, Expedia.com, right? So let's say the very first test is to click on account, click on sign in, and enter the email address, password, and click on sign in, right? So let's say the very first test is the sign in test. So what we're gonna do, so let's say this is a home page, and based on the home page, I'll be creating a class with the name as home page, right? So what all things that we can do in home page? If I talk about the functionality of homepage, then we can go to flights, we can go to hotels, right? We can book a flight, right? These are the things that we can do, and we can even go to these navigations as well. But what happen if I go to hotels, or if I go to flights? These navigations they remain same, right? I can create the functionality inside the home page as well, but if I next time I need to create the hotel page, hotel space, then I need to add the same functionality as well over there as well, right? So instead of designing it over here, we will be creating separate classes like the top navigation. If you remember, in case of page object model, we have actually designed a class where we were accessing the top navigation. Just give me a moment. Uh, just a moment. Yeah. So here we have actually created a common class with the name as a top menu, right, where we have actually included all the header menus in one class, and then we have encapsulated it inside the business pages. Same stuff we will be doing it over here as well, right? But before that, like the way that we have created a home page, we have created a class for home page. So what all things that we can do in home page apart from the menus, we need to mention it over here. Let's say I want to go to flights. So I'll say public void go to flights. Similarly, I can go to hotels. I can go to flight and hotels, right? So all these navigation you need to implement in a form of a method over here. Similarly, after going to flight on the same page, I can book a flight as well, right? So I can give public void book a flight, right? And maybe there are a number of fields which require while booking a flight, like I need to provide the from city, the to city, the departing date, returning date, adults, children, right? I need to fill up all this information. So all these things we need to provide it in a form of an argument over here. So let's say string from city, string to city, string returning date, before that the departing date, right? And then after that we have number of adult, number of children's. So string number of adults, string number of children, right? So these are some of the stuff that we need to give it over here, right? And that's it for the home page. So let's say if I want to define the functionality go to flight. So if you remember, in case of page object model, we how we do it, we first define the driver reference like this, right? And then we do driver dot find element by dot xpath. Let it work by dot xpath, and we give xpath, and then we say dot click, right? After importing WebDriver, we get dot click like this, right? And we give the locator from our or.properties file. This is how we used to do with the basic page object model approach, right? Although the driver reference is initialized in the base class, that is the page class, but for the timing, let's say if I do the same stuff using page factory, so how these things will gonna work. So with page factory, instead of doing this, I can simply go ahead and say @find by, @find by, and what I'm gonna do, let's say I want to find this element. I want to click on the flight tab with the CSS of this element. So I can right click and say inspect element. And let's see what is the CSS of this element. This is the flight tab, right? And we have all options over here. So flight, and then this is a link, right, which is a clickable link, and this ID has got this is the ID, right? So I can say if I'm finding with CSS, I can say CSS equal to this, and this will actually gonna return like we need to write some, we need to define our web element over here. We'll say flight tab. So this will be your page factory element. And if you mouse over onto this, you can see you get an option of importing it through Selenium, right? And import the web element. So now this is your web element. Now instead of doing this, you can simply say flight tab dot click. So this is how it will gonna click on this element like this, right? And this method will now take you to the flight tab. And now if in case you want to see how this thing is being executed, you can simply go ahead in your rough package and define a class where you can say flight search test. So this will be your test case. Let's say you want to run it through test-ng. You can say public void do flight search, right? You want to search for a flight, and this will be at the rate test. So how you're gonna do it? First, you'll be initializing your browser. Let's say let's don't talk about test-ng right now. I'll just add it through main method. We'll see test-ng once we start creating base classes. So just a main method. If I add a main method over here, so how we'll be doing is first we'll be saying equal to new Chrome driver. Let's say I want to execute my test on Chrome, right? And after that we can say driver dot get, and it should navigate to expedia.com, right? So what we need to do, we need to call a method that says go to flights. So how are we going to call it? We'll say home page. We first need to create an object of home page home equal to, and how we're going to create the object will not be saying new home page over here, right? We rather need to say home equal to page factory dot init elements. We need to initialize the elements of our home page by saying page factory dot init elements, give this driver reference over here, and then give the class instance of home page like this. This is how your page factories are being initialized. And then using this reference, you can say home dot go to flights like this, right? And when you run it, we encounter some error. Okay, so this is the path of Chrome driver exe, which we have actually kept it inside system dot. We need to give system dot set property, then web driver dot Chrome dot driver, and in the value we need to give the path of our Chrome driver exe, which is inside executables. So we'll take it from here. This much part we can get it by system.get property user.dir, right? So I can say system.get property user.dir, right? And then we'll be adding this path for Chrome driver exe with double backslashes. Right, put a column over here. Right, so let's run it again. So navigating to Expedia, and then it should only click on the flight tab. That's it. It didn't click. Let's see what errors we got. We got no such element, unable to locate the element with CSS. Okay, so CSS, this is ID, so it should be hash tab, right? But you can see it has actually accessed that element. So let's run it once more. And see it clicked on the flights tab, right? So this is how the very first test got successfully executed, and this is the way how we will be designing our pages. And whenever we need to return an object of any page, that has to be returned by using page factory.init elements and the driver reference and that page class reference, page class object where these objects are actually initialized, right?